Good evening, my name is Alex Campbell and you're watching the 7th episode of Dissecting Trek. On this episode I'll be dissecting the 1967 classic, Mud's Women.
What's happening? Look at my face!
So this episode opens up with the Enterprise saving Mud and his crew from an asteroid field. And this first shot of Mud that we see, his costume conveys the fact that he's a space pirate. Like, literally just a pirate in space. So Mud's cargo is then beamed aboard and they're women. Cause Mud's a pimp.
Is this your crew, Captain?
Oh, well, no, Captain. This is me cargo.
I think he should have had a massive purple feather in his hat. Just to really put the cherry on top of that less than subtle costume.
It's really a darn beautiful ship, isn't it? Really a beautiful ship.
So the men on board are immediately captivated by Mud's women. And at first we don't know whether these women have some type of a supernatural element to their biology or whether there just aren't enough women on the Enterprise to go around and they've been in space for a while and everyone's a little bit horny locked up in this steel ship.
Amen to that, Scottie.
It's also a really great scene in this episode where Mud is being interrogated by the crew and they have a computer that keeps on calling him out on all of his lies.
Any past offenses, Mr. Mudd?
Of course not. Gentlemen, I'm simply an honest businessman.
Incorrect.
Blast that tin-plated pot.
The charisma of the actor playing Mud really comes across in this comical scene as well.
What, my tiny little ship in this immense galaxy? A menace to navigate.
You're also charged with operation of a vessel without a master's license.
Untrue, I have a master's ticket.
Incorrect. Master's license revoked. Star date 11/16.4.
All right.
He does quite a good job of playing this character even though he's quite cliched. Possibly even back in the 60s.
Unusual reading on male board members. Detecting high respiration patterns. Perspiration rates up. Heartbeat rapid.
And massive erections. So all of the shots of these women being sexy are slightly blurry to convey that they're beautiful. The original series did this with almost every shot of beautiful women. I guess blurriness kind of shows a hazy, I don't know, weird beauty or something. Right lads, now for the shots of the women. Get a little Vaseline and rub it on that lens. That'll show the audience they're sexy.
Well, I assume Leo's name for this voyage, out of courtesy to him, in memoriam, as it were. A fine, fine man. Alas, gone is his reward.
So Mud's plan was to sell off these women to men on a mining planet. And these women are all for this because there were no men on the planets that they've all come from. And they're all desperate to find husbands.
It's the same story for all of us, Captain. No men. Mine was a farm planet with automated machines for company and then 2 brothers to cook for, mend their clothes, canal mud a foot thick on their boots every time they walked in.
Fine, Evie, fine.
As forward-thinking as Star Trek was for its time, showing the first interracial kiss ever on television and all of that, this episode does suffer from what we would now consider to be backwards 60s ideology. That is, a little bit sexist. Our perception of women has changed quite a bit in the last 50 years.
Oh, why? You're not giving me an examination, are you?
Oh, no, I wouldn't trust my...
Penis! Sorry, that was an easy one. One of Mudd's sex slaves, or whatever you want to call them, waits in Kirk's quarters to try and seduce him. And we get a look at the captain's bed.
Captain? I hope you don't mind.
That is a tiny bed. His feet would probably hang off the end of it. I mean, he's the captain. Give him a king-size bed, for God's sake. I guess the Enterprise D was a much bigger ship, and it was accommodating to families. So maybe room is so sparing on the first Enterprise. It was like a Russian submarine or something. So this was as big and luxurious as the captain's quarters could be. But still, I'd be like, you motherfuckers are squeezing a king-size bed in here. I'm not sleeping on a single bed. I'm the captain! Kirk does manage to overcome this woman's advances though, showing that he is not the two-dimensional ladies man as he was in J.J. Abrams' Kelvin timeline movies. Don't get me wrong, he did fuck a lot of alien pussy though.
It's just not enough. Oh, man. My darling, I can't get enough of your love, babe. Girl, I don't know why. I can't get enough of your love, babe.
So it's revealed that these women are actually old and ugly, and that Mudd's been giving them some type of a pill to make them incredibly attractive to men.
Yes, yeah.
But the way that the scene plays out, the reveal is like they're monsters?
What's happening? Look, lace!
It's really weird. The reveal is quite suspenseful and has a horror tinge to it. They're not monsters, they're just middle-aged women with a few wrinkles. I don't know if people in the 60s thought that older women were monsters? So we arrive on the planet where these miners live, that Mudd is marrying his women off to. And it's a desert planet which seems to have frequent dust storms. One of the women even just briefly goes outside and almost dies because of how vicious this terrain is. I would probably rethink my plans to marry one of these men just based on how vicious this planet is. So in the end, Mudd's women choose to stay on this desolate wasteland and marry the miners, even though one of them is clearly angry and abusive.
What the devil happened to your looks anyway?
I got tired of you. I slumped.
You heard what I said? You're homely. I've got enough in crystals already to buy queens. For the girls!
I see a divorce coming. It's really weird that the women in this episode are portrayed as so incredibly enticed to marry. It's like the only function that they can perform in the real world. I'm a woman, I must get married, I have to get married because I'm a woman, that's what women do!
We've got men willing to be our husbands waiting for us, and you're taking us in the opposite direction. Staring at us like we were Saturnius harem girls or something.
That's enough, Evie.
There was also a subplot with the Enterprise being trapped and them needing to get crystals so they could leave the planet again, but I didn't even talk about it because it wasn't that interesting. So, in the end, was Mudd's women good or bad? I don't know. It's an episode of the original series. What do you want from me? It's kind of both. Thank you for watching, and it'd really help out if you like, subscribe, and in the comments tell me how I got all of the facts wrong and how my opinion is null and void. Thank you, and good night.